if you see Europe indeed in a perspective, if you look back and if you're looking forward at the moment, obviously with the yield shifts where they are and with the rental stability / growth, depending on where you are, real estate seems to be a valid story. It's delivering returns that other fixed income classes aren't delivering, hence that big equity shift towards real estate, simply because bonds and other fixed income aren't performing or aren't performing to the level that the investors needed. So generally, I think Europe is working well. Now, if you take France in that perspective, there is a disconnect of the investment market to let's call them the classic underlying parameters for real estate. It is, of course, the biggest European market, so there's a certain stability and liquidity coming out of that fact alone. It's a very professional market, so there's a transparency stability coming out of the French market as well. However, the pricing presently, especially in Paris, but also in the regions, which then in comparison are extremely small, of course, and extremely, or a lot more intransparent and a lot less liquid than Paris. The disconnect between the retail or the leasing market and the investment market, I find is quite strong in France. Now you look forward and you're going in at a very heavy pricing. Your only real chance if returns breathe out again, which whatever the timing behind that is your income side. So, you know, again, I can only back what Marcus was saying. You have to look at what you're buying, and I find the political, the economic restructuring that still has to take place in France hasn't taken place, and it's proving to be very difficult. I'm not a politician. I don't know if it's because of the politics. I don't know if it's just an unwillingness, if it's just a French attitude. I don't know. Pricing is heavy, but that's just a European context. That's across the board. It is just the challenge of the day, trying to invest into real estate. France delivers a fantastic market in Paris. Extremely stable market, funnily enough, but there's a big risk I find in the leasing market, and that does make investing into Paris a challenge on the office side. Retail, similar consumption numbers aren't ideal. Logistics, funnily enough, there's a big gap between logistic yields and office and retail yields, which surprises me that it's that big in France. Because that has come down dramatically in Germany, for example. You're now at prices that I used to pay for CBD buildings in Frankfurt. So there's a misconnect, and maybe that we can dwell on. Maybe that's an opportunity.
Working with foreign capital from Asia, from the Middle East, also from Europe, something that is for me as a Frenchman difficult to accept, but for a lot of investors, actually France is not on the map at the moment. They would go heavily to Germany. They would go, I mean, as you said, they would compare France with other countries like Poland, Spain, in terms of why they would go there or not. And for most of them, France is not on the map for two reasons. First, when they come to Paris, they see that it's so expensive that they can't compete, and competition is really heavy with all the OPCIs and CPIs and insurance and so on. And they can't explain it when they look at the economics, because then they see that, as you said, the reforms have not been really undertaken. So yeah, it doesn't appear on the map. I mean, Asian investors, it's we tried to take them here. We took them here. They like it, like very good food, very good everything, but they don't want to buy anything. When in Germany, they all want to go there because first of all, the market is much more diversified. Actually, you can find anything you want in Germany, from big buildings to small buildings. I mean, you can also on the yield side, you can vary the yield depending on whether you go to Munich or a smaller city. So they love it. For them, it's they see that the economics are strong, so it offers all the pluses and only little minuses. And when they look at the other countries in Europe, like for example Holland, they like it because also they see that reforms are undertaken. It's a small market, but they see some rationales that they don't see in France. So until the last elections, there was some attraction to Spain. I think that's going to slow down now. Yeah, and otherwise as usual.